Actually, if you think about it, at Unilever, launched flavored margarine. That was a failure. I got promoted.
So what would you say has been some of the biggest highlights or changes on the Nedbank brand? I mean, it's 8 years now.
It's 8 years. The belief, landing the belief that creativity can be a differentiator for our brand. It was a massive deal for me. And
what does winning these awards mean for you?
I mean, if anyone tells you that they don't enjoy winning, they're lying. If you had to ask me to take a step back, what is the secret sauce for us?
Yeah.
It's creativity, it's tech data and with AI, and it's the people. I remember sitting in the editing room, Ricky, the editor. I think GetMoneyFit, guys, I know it's our ad, ne?
Yeah.
I think it's some of the best editing work I've ever seen in my life. Like if you think about all the different scenes.
Pat. It's Pat on brands. Watch how you branded, man. A pat on the back is a pat from the man. Better be branded, man. Pat from the pat is a pat on the brand. If it's enormous.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Pat on Brands podcast with me, Pat Mahlangu. Today, we have a special guest, as always. What one would say, the most decorated marketer of our time.
Yes.
Khensani Nobanda. Welcome to the Pat on Brands podcast. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Pat. Finally.
How have you been? I know you've been to Kili. Let's start there. Let's start at the top.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Kili. Oh, wow. So, I submitted Kili on the 9th of August on Women's Day.
Sure.
And I guess as a marketer, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm always looking for connection points. It's not just Summit Kili, but it's Summit Kili on Women's Day because, that's quite important. And it was 21 women submitting Kili on Women's Day from all over the world. A couple of South Africans, a lot of Americans, a Namibian, a Zambian, someone from the UK. It was probably it was the hardest thing, the hardest physical thing, and actually mental in the end as well, that I have ever done in my life.
Wow. If there's one lesson you took from your experience at Kili, what would it be?
I'm going to give you two because I think they're both important and they're interesting. So the first one is around, I'm constantly in my, job having to be a leader and constantly being the one who sets the direction, says this is what we should do, and then almost has to cheer everyone on. In Kilimanjaro, I wasn't an expert. There were porters and guides and all of that who know that mountain far more than me.
So now you had to follow.
I had to follow.
Oh, wow.
And it's really hard for me to follow.
A maverick like yourself?
But what a great lesson for me because I learned that in following I enjoyed it. Guys, making decisions every day. No.
Yeah, the
responsibility.
Too much.
I actually really, really enjoyed just being told do this and do that. And in all of that, having to trust people. And remember, these are people who I've met the day before and now I'm on a mountain with them and I have to trust their expertise and their experience.
Sure.
There was a moment where we were on this wall called Barranco Wall and we had to jump over something. It was quite precipitous, right? If you miss it, you fall off the mountain. You've got to trust that when you jump, the guy on the other side is going to catch you. And
it sounds scary.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of trust you've got to give when you follow. And I really enjoyed that. And for me, I guess I've always known that, you must empower people and all of that. But I think more than just empowering is giving different people moments of time to be able to actually lead and me being able to just take a step back and stuff. And actually I really enjoyed that.
Amazing. And the second one?
The second one was, again, related to that wall. That wall, if you Google Kilimanjaro, they actually call it the wall of death.
Ooh.
It's the scariest point of the mountain if you take the Limosho route. But what was interesting for me is I watched 2 or 3 videos of people who'd taken that route and I saw this wall and I was really scared. It created a wall in my head about would I be able to get through it. And it was day 4, we did it on day 5. So day 4, when we got into camp and you could see the wall, if you think about Game of Thrones and you think about the wall and Game of Thrones, it literally looks like that. And I said to Judy and Asha, 2 of the guides, and I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And they said, if many people have done it, and they included a guy who was blind who did it. They were like, why can't you? They just couldn't understand.
Yeah.
And when I did it, it was actually a lot easier than I thought it was. And it reminded me how we create these blockages and these walls in our minds, in our heads, before we've even done something. Doesn't mean don't be respectful of what you're going to do, or don't be even nervous, because I think nerves show that you respect something. But don't actually stop yourself from doing something simply because, you're worried about it. But don't let the wall stop you. And for me, I think those were like my two biggest lessons.
Wow, that's very, very profound. And someone said, you don't conquer a mountain, you conquer yourself.
Absolutely.
Did you feel like that?
I mean, I think those two examples show you exactly that, right? That you get to the top and you summit, but the biggest things about yourself. I mean, there were moments where it doesn't matter how physical you are, like fit you are. You could have trained for 2 years. At some stage, it's actually no longer about your body, it's mental. I mean, there were moments when I didn't know how to put one foot in front of the other. I didn't know how my body was moving. It was now, and they teach you something called in Swahili, pole pole, which means slowly, slowly. And for someone you can tell I talk fast, I'm impatient and stuff. So for someone who's like me, let's get to the top, to just be like slowly, slowly. And the slower you get for yourself, actually the more chance you have of reaching the top was like because I'm always thinking the fastest way I can get to the top is like and this was about pole pole, and you'll get there. And so there were many things that I had to unlearn about myself to ensure that I actually got to the top.
So now that you've done it, do you wish you started early? You would have done it earlier, maybe?
I did it at the right time.
Love it. So it's number what on
my 50 before 50? I think it was number 80.
Number 80. So it's still quite a few things too.
I'm only turning 50 in 3 years.
Oh, 3 years.
For my birthday this year.
Next year.
For my birthday this year, people were like, "Happy 50th birthday, Kiri."
Oh my goodness.
Only 3 years time.
In my head, I thought it was either this year or next year.
No.
So it means there's still more.
Yeah, I've done 20. So I've still got 30. And I've done 20 in 1 year because I started the list this year. So I've got 3 years to do 30.
So we're still going to see more maverick things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. I mean, we started the conversation at the top. Let's bring it down in terms of for the benefit of those that are watching this for the first time and are not familiar with you, and I don't know where they've been, but anyways, who is Khensani Nobanda? Just a brief background also from a career perspective. Yeah,
okay. No, cool. So I guess from a background perspective, maybe the first important thing is to talk about where I come from. I am a child of Africa, but my dad is from Orlando. And he joined the MK and he left South Africa when he was 17 to go underground. He met my mom, Eswatini. My mom's half Swati, half Portuguese. And
fala português. Okay.
And so, although we did all our schooling in Swaziland, we lived in a number of other African countries. So I lived in Moz, Zambia, Ghana, like all of those countries.
So you were exiled, like
I grew up in exile. But more than that, I actually think of myself, which is why one of my tattoos is the map of the continent on my back, because I think of myself as a child of Africa whilst I'm South African. I come from family of 4. I'm the eldest. It's always funny because of people always think my personality matches a young the youngest. Last born personality. I'm actually the eldest. Did my schooling, as I said, mostly in Swaziland, but went to Wits, did my BCom there. My first job was at Unilever.
The big U.
The big U, all the way in Durban. I was the Rama assistant brand manager, and then was a Rama brand manager. Left Unilever to go to Diageo in Cape Town. I was Smirnoff brand manager, and then Smirnoff Ready to Drinks marketing manager.
You brought the Smirnoff spin.
Yeah, I did. I launched Smirnoff Spin. It was a failure, but what are wins if you don't have failures to show for it?
If you don't mind, if we double click on that part, what did you learn about, marketing at that point in time? Like, what is it that you can take as a lesson from that failure?
I mean, first of all, what I can tell you is it doesn't matter because on Spin, so I think we'd launched So there was Smirnoff Ice. We launched Smirnoff Red because there was an issue with exporting into other markets, like in Southern Africa, that was impacting the revenue of Diageo. So we needed to change South Africa to have its own Smirnoff ready to drink. It wouldn't be Smirnoff Ice. So we launched Smirnoff Spin. And also we were trying to target like younger men and stuff because they looked at Smirnoff Red or Ice and as very sort of feminine and all of that. So think about it strategically, right thing
Makes
to do.
sense, yeah.
Insights, if you look at the work we did on the liquid, the work we did on packaging, the bottle, like all of that, completely spot on.
Yeah.
The launch itself, we were the first brand. We had the spin agents on campuses. And this entire ecosystem that we built and stuff, and it failed miserably. And so for me, I think it's one, you can have as strong a strategy as you want, strong insights as you know, but sometimes some things are maybe ahead of its time. So it's not going to do well.
Yeah.
But that's okay because what happened was after I left, the person who took over from me launched Smirnoff Storm, and they used the Smirnoff Spin lessons to be able to be successful on Smirnoff Storm. Because I think also the other thing I learned was the liquid wasn't good enough, and so you can package things as beautifully as you want, but if the intrinsic product doesn't deliver what the market's looking for, you're not going to do well and stuff. And actually, the biggest differentiator for Smirnoff Storm was the liquid, and the lesson came from our failure.
But in the color. Because the one was whitish.
Whitish, yeah. No, but that's just like how it was more like the 6%, the actual taste of the liquid more than anything else and stuff. So they got the liquid like really correct. So, never think of like failure as don't fail and put the book away and be like, well, there was nothing there. Actually take the lessons forward. Even if you don't, whoever comes after you can do that. But also
It's interesting you share that because now people look at you as this top marketer with all these accolades, but they don't know that part of his journey,
Or even on Rama, like we were laughing. The other day I was chatting with a friend of mine I was at Unilever with, and they were like, why don't butters and margarines launch flavors? I was like, oh no, I did that in 2001 and it failed.
Hectic. Oh, yeah.
And so, I just think, geez, there's no way you're going to succeed at everything. It's just impossible. And I think for me, it's about being open to the fact that this could fail, and that's okay. And hopefully you work in an organization or your own company is open to allowing people to fail forward instead of penalizing them. Because actually, if you think about it, at Unilever, launched flavored margarine, that was a failure. I got promoted. At Diageo. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Smirnoff Spin. Yeah. What happens? Unilever calls me and says, we want to make you a category director.
Wow. Sure. It means there's something in Kensi, that sometimes I'm pretty sure when you go through that period, you don't even see yourself as worthy of a promotion, but somehow it just happens because, like you say, the product was not wrong. You also, like the point that you're making, it sounds like what they say about Ogilvy, that there's no marketer that was fired for hiring Ogilvy. It means the product itself was wrong, not the agency.
That's hilarious. I've never heard that.
But then Vodacom, when did you join Vodacom? Was it straight after?
No, actually. So I went back to Unilever to look after the tea category. And then I went to Dubai with Unilever for 3 years. I was category director for Africa, Middle East and Turkey for the skin category. Then I took a break from working for 6 months.
Wow.
Joined South African breweries after that. Firstly worked
you also at SAB?
Yeah.
I didn't know that part.
Really? Yeah, I was at SAB for 3 years. Worked on Milk Stout first and then Hansa at the end. And then...
did you do Vuyos?
No, Vuyo was, I just took over. I did the final Vuyo ad.
Wow.
And then so Vodacom had hunted me and I wanted to get out of FMCG. Had been doing it for so many years. So I really wanted to try something different. Service, technology. Was at Vodacom for 3 years and then joined Nedbank 2017 September.
Wow. And since you joined Nedbank, it has never been the same.
Yes.
So what would you say has been some of the biggest highlights or changes on the Nedbank brand? I mean, it's 8 years now.
It's 8 years. Yeah, I guess first of all, I mean, when I think about, as a brand, we were never known to be a very digitalized or, brand and stuff. And actually we had a lot of products that if you looked at them were leading edge, on our leading edge versus our competitors from a digital perspective. But we've just never been able to tell the story really well. So when I think about the Bank Your Time campaign that we did, which was saying, if you use our digital products, you can actually spend your time doing the things that are more important to you. So things that matter. And in 1 year, you can see the shift around how people have changed their perceptions about the brand and how digital it is and the digital products that it delivers. So that for me has been like a massive tick. I think the second thing is just there was the belief, landing the belief that creativity can be a differentiator for our brand. It was a massive deal for me. And when we got our Luri's Grand Prix in 2019, everyone went, whoa, we're a bank. We can do this,
Sure.
And when we as Joe Public, agreed that, and we created a vision for ourselves, which was to make people, whenever they see work from Nedbank, to go, wow, did a bank do that? So we had a very strong creative vision between the both partners.
So how important is that partnership, and obviously being partners instead of just an agency bank kind of relationship where it's you briefing, not collaborating?
It's fundamental to the success of where we've been as a bank. So I think we've got a a procurement contract. It's fine. But we've actually got a relationship contract as well. And that relationship contract articulates our vision, which is, did a bank do that? It then articulates how we're going to treat each other. It talks about our values. It talks about what a success look like. And not just from we're going to reduce cost by X amount. These are things that both Nedbank and Joe Public value as success. And then I think secondly, yes, there are briefs that go into the system that they need to deliver on, but we've allowed Joe Public a lot of space where they do these power Joes, where they come back to us and present ideas that were not necessarily, in plan and stuff. And we've always made sure that we've got budget for those type of ideas. Although we challenge them as well to ensure that we've got strong creativity even on the campaigns that we brief them on. So we don't want them to be really creative on proactive ideas. We want them to be really creative across everything that they get. But sometimes there's stuff that they think about that really isn't in plan for us that they come back with, and we're really open to that. Joe Public is not in a space where they are worried about losing our business. I've got...
What a nice position to be in as an agency.
And I'll tell you why. Obviously, if they wouldn't deliver, if the relationship fell apart, all of that, that's a very different thing. Like any marriage or partnership, there's always going to be ups and downs, but it's how you work through those with the respect and always making sure that you're clear about your vision and your purpose in that partnership, that you work through them. The reason I say that is because let's talk about the procurement contract. I think a lot of marketers have given over the procurement contract to procurement. And actually all procurement should do is allow you to ensure that you get value out of your agency. So you're not cheated and it's not too expensive and stuff. But they can't be the person telling you, it's 5 years now, you must go to pitch. That's your call as a marketer. You must say, no, I don't want to go to pitch. I've got no issues with this.
But there's 5 other agencies waiting in line to have the Nedbank.
Yeah, but look at any successful brand and agency relationship. It's long term, guys.
If you think about it, I can name plenty that's gone out for pitch after 50 years.
Exactly. And honestly, you do that because actually you're both like, it's good, guys. We've had a great run. It's not working out anymore. We can't come up with it's just not working out. But to just be pitching left, right, and center
every 3 years.
Every 3 days. I just think it does your brand disservice. It does the industry a disservice. Now, obviously, the question is, well, how do you bring young agencies into the mix? So for us at Nedbank, we've got 200% Black-owned agencies. And again, they've got contracts with us that we're not just going to walk away from. So, that what we give Joe Public, we give those 2 other agencies as well. So it's Stratnovate and Media Tacticians. So what we commit to, here's the amount of business that they're going to get from Nedbank every year. And we've got to make sure that they get that business because hopefully they're the next Joe Public. So whilst we've got a big through-the-line agency that we've got, we've worked with them for 13 years now. We also need to build other agencies to ensure that, there's new Joe Publics.
Absolutely. That sounds very for what? Transformative, in terms of, giving more opportunities for young agencies, because I guess the struggles of
Absolutely.
small agencies. But I just want to touch on the point of you being one of the most decorated marketers in this country. I mean, if I were to go through the list, I don't think we'll be able to finish this episode, but just highlight a few, and tell me, what does it mean for you to have won? I mean, 2021 Industry Leader of the Year at the Financial Mail at Focus Awards. Marketing, Leadership and Innovation Award at the Luries 2021. 2022, Most Admired Marketer by South Africa, Mark Lives. Most Admired Marketer by Scorpion. Industry Leader of the Year at the AdFocus, again, Awards. Most Admired Marketer in South Africa. In 2024, Mark Lives. Marketing Person of the Year at the Marketing Achievement Awards. This was this year. I remember being there, and it was really an electric moment. What does winning these awards mean for you?
I mean, if anyone tells you that they don't enjoy winning, they're lying.
There's a gentleman next door, I'm not sure if you know him, Adam Howard.
Yeah?
Here's this thing where he says, winning an award, I always thought winning an award meant nothing until I won one.
Exactly.
Awards are meaningless. You get those people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think firstly, maybe to take a step back, because before the awards, you've got to have the dream and the vision of wanting to do it. So when I started in my role, one of the things I said was, I want to build the best marketing team on the continent.
Sure, that's the vision.
That's the vision. And I find it funny when people say, "Yo, Agapapi," like, who does she think she is? You know?
Yeah.
Because somehow what we've done to ourselves is we've made people like to feel bad about winning and having big dreams and visions. And actually you don't achieve if you don't have that as something like Neil Armstrong and the guys like Buzz, they never would have walked on the moon if there was no dream to say we want to walk on the moon. So to achieve stuff like that, you've got to have a big vision and a big dream. And so when I hear people tell me that I want to do this, in fact, I was saying to Sarah Kumalo this morning, so she was the first Black African woman to summit the 7 highest, mountains on every continent. When I said to her, I can imagine when you said that's what you want to do, people were side-eyeing you, but who does she think she is? For me, it's like the worst one, right? Yeah. And actually, we should celebrate people who have visions and dreams like that, because they're going to move the world forward.
Of course, because they set the standard.
They set the standard.
It gets higher.
Yeah. So I think that's where I started off, was to have a very clear vision and dream. And I knew, by the way, that in having that vision, yes, I'll be awarded, but my team as well is going to win, because I won't be able to do that on my own. Like, they will also be the ones who are able to be recognized and do really great work, and actually maybe have opportunities outside of Nedbank, and that's okay. But they get noticed because they are part of the Nedbank ecosystem and marketing team that was able to achieve all of that. And so when the recognition,
that's very profound. So I want to see, at these awards show, whenever Nedbank wins something, it will be a gang,
right?
Yeah.
It's an absolute gang, because whilst I'm the leader of that, team, actually there's a lot of people who work incredibly hard to ensure that it happens. And in fact,
how do you then rally the team up? Because sometimes it's easy to say, we've got a vision of building, the biggest or the best marketing team in the continent. But then again, you have, those that are so nonchalant. They're like, Kensi, you know what I mean? Yeah. I just want to come here, work and get paid and go home.
You get found out if that's how you are. I mean, I think firstly, the leadership team, so the marketing executives, I really believe in that vision. And that's important, because I cannot drive it alone. I need those guys to be the ones who echo that and push it and drive it in amongst their own teams as well. Yeah. So I don't just do it alone. I do it with them. Our agencies play a big role in that. When they think about what work they're gonna do and any of that, they think about what Khensi is and that big vision that we have in marketing. And also, Pat, we can't baby people.
Fair.
And I think I'm at a point like, in fact, I got to this point like 4 or 5 years ago. If you don't want to be part of that, that's really fine.
That was
Guys, it's not my father's company, Nedbank. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
If you resign and you've got something better, I'm honestly happy for you. Or you've got something different because this doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
That's okay. I've had to leave companies where I thought to myself, nah, this is not for me. And I think people should make choices that make sense for themselves. But we have a lot of people in that marketing organization who love being part of that, thinking. I mean, we've got, for the last 2 years, our motto as a marketing team has been something called divine discontent. And I learned it from the All Blacks, right? So I'm a massive Springboks fan, don't worry. But I'm also a sports head, like every sports. The Springboks, every time they would win the Rugby World Cup, immediately after they would win it, they'd enjoy it. That's divine. But they would start thinking about how do they win the next one. That's the discontent. And so for me, that thing about, celebrate, but start thinking about, okay, what's next? Like, how do I, it doesn't mean I'm not happy. I'm really happy I won this.
You're grateful you won it and you worked hard for it and you deserved it. But we have to keep it.
We have to keep it moving. And so for me, that's why it's not just discontent, it's divine discontent. Because it actually is a positive spirit, positive momentum around doing better. If you buy into that, then you're at Nedbank marketing team, we're all happy.
Yeah.
If you honestly don't, like, if you don't leave, you get found out, Like, and
you become that dead weight in the team.
Yeah, and you'll see yourself, right? Because you'll see how everyone else is energized and maybe you're not and stuff. And I know when I'm in an organization where I'm not buying into the culture and stuff, I'm not at my best. And I think for everyone, I don't know if I'd think everyone.
It's interesting you say that because, because I get to engage a lot with obviously young people and some of my team members are young. And I've always maintained that, there's this sort of energy now, not only within my organization, but outside that sort of promotes mediocrity.
Oh my goodness.
And being average and not putting in effort.
Yeah.
Because when you put in effort, it's just too much work.
Yeah.
And mental health. I don't even want to go there, but it's interesting that you have that principle that if you're not happy in a space, rather you leave than, dragging everybody down with you. I found that very, very profound.
I was lucky enough, and I say, so maybe a little step back, when I took my sabbatical in 2011, so I was a Unilever at that time and I was living in Dubai. I'd had a great 2-year career there. I mean, I was a little bit of a rock star. I was like flying first class.
Yes.
Like getting it,
Yeah.
And then I got a new manager. And in retrospect, I can give him grace because of what he was going through, trying to be the global CEO of Unilever. But obviously at that time, I was, I think, between 30, 31 years old. And so I did not give him grace at that time because in his trying to be the global CEO of Unilever, there were many things that he did that, quite frankly, there's nothing I could do that was good enough for him. And no matter how hard I tried, honestly, I would have the Saudi team say to me, the fact that you did this and we grew this market share, amazing, Kensi. And there was no divinity in his discontent, just discontent.
Yeah.
And so I remember coming home 2010 June and saying to my 19-year-old brother that I hate my job and that's not normal for me. Like I was like, I am completely unhappy.
Yeah.
And Alex was like, resign. And I was like, you're 19. Like, why would you just tell people to resign?
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, a month later, my brother was killed. And so that moment though, so and I grieve him, but in that grief, there was so much growth because I realized that I can be so unhappy in my job and be treated like that and then die. No, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
So I'd rather take a break from working and chill for 6 months and figure out actually what I want to do with my life. I am so grateful I did that for myself because it energized me in so many ways, but it also said to me that I will never allow myself to be in a situation like that again because ultimately the only person I've got control of is me. I have zero control over the organization, over my boss, you can influence, but the only person. So if I'm in a space where I feel like they're accepting, or they want mediocrity from me, or they want me to change, or they want me, I'm not okay with that. So you know what I do? I just remove myself. You all can stay there. Yeah. So I would say, even for like young people, actually the only person you can manage, is you. And maybe the last thing I'll say on that is, even on mental wellness, I do think it's important to talk about it. I mean, I said to my team, so my sister committed suicide, unfortunately, as well, about 3 years ago. And it took me maybe 4 or 5 months to realize I was not okay. And I think because we were very tight, so I'm the eldest and she was the youngest, I'd lost my brother. So I thought, I understand what grief is and stuff. And then all of a sudden I realized I'm like completely 100% mentally not okay. And I stood in front of my team at the recognition function, which is where we basically say to everyone, you've done well, there's achievers and all of that. And I said to them, in trying to achieve, the one thing you must never lose is being aware of mentally and how you are. Like, you've got to look after yourself. And I said to them, so for me right now, I'm not okay. I literally told my entire marketing team. So I'm going to take a break and I'm going to go on a retreat to try to get back to myself. So I'm not saying do all of those things and disregard your mental wellness. That is never something that I would, I would never advocate for that. I would always say, I think there's a lot of ways that success can look like for you that include being physically okay, like well, being mentally well. I think for me, that's what success should be rounded. It can't just be one-dimensional, yeah.
Sure. Interesting. You're talking about now mental fitness, and you guys launched GetMoneyFit.
Yeah, hashtag
GetMoneyFit, How did that come about?
Yeah, so again, going back to the idea of doing work where people say, did a bank do that? We always challenge ourselves to say, okay, we're going to have a brand campaign, but it's got to step change like how banking talks to people. And so when the insight came from the JP team, the insight was a lot of people, and you would know it because you did comrades, like a lot of people, they understand that to be physically fit, it's in the nuances, it's in the training every day, it's the
small stuff.
It's, you know what I mean? And I say, you don't wake up and say, I'm going to do the comrades. You've got to build a muscle for doing comrades, Absolutely. Right? And so actually being financially fit is a very same parallel. You can't just wake up and think your budget's going to work out because you haven't applied yourself. You have to apply yourself. It's in, again, those small pockets, the nuances, the decisions that you make, how you think about your money and stuff. When we did the Secrets campaign, I always used to talk about it and say, you've got to stare your money in the face. It's not going to go away, guys. If it's red, it's red.
Yeah. If it's minus, it's minus.
If it's minus, it's not going to go away. So you've got to stare it in the face. And then you've got to think about the different tools and ways. Yeah. So you use, I'm sure for comrades, you probably had to do weight training and all of that. So there's tools.
Check my diet. Even the kit, I had to have the right running shoe.
And so it's absolutely the same thing. So yes, and we've got all these tools. We've got Net Financial Health. We've got Money Edge. We've got savings pockets that allow you to be able to save a little bit every month. There's so many things. If you're in debt, we've got ways of allowing you to consolidate your debt. The biggest thing, though, is about applying yourself, the way you would apply yourself to your physical fitness. And when that insight came, we were like, love the insight. And then by the time we got to the creative work, which honestly, and if people have seen the ad, we literally said, what if Nike did banking? What if they did a banking?
How would it look like?
How would it look like?
Wow.
And I actually just, whenever I remember sitting in the editing room, Ricky, the editor, I think GetMoneyFit, guys, I know it's our ad, ne?
Yeah.
I think it's some of the best editing work I've ever seen in my life. If you think about all the different scenes with the swimmer, with the cyclist, with the runner, and just sitting in that room and you watch the ad and it's got the music.
Now let me tell you about your personal best. It's the things you do when no one's watching. The tiny steps you take that add up every single day. Don't sweat the small stuff, they say. How about you do? Don't just watch from the sidelines. Get off the bench and get in the game. Go the distance. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. The only person holding you back is the one in the mirror. Push till the way becomes your way, until your small actions make headway and life becomes your buffet. We all gotta eat, right? Now listen, no one said it will be easy, but consistency will pay off. Your habits, well, they'll either break you or make you. So
And then
make
that
'em
end
count.
bit when the runner
Now
says, "Now imagine."
Just for 1 second, imagine you did all that for your money.
Just for one moment, imagine if you did all of that for your money.
What a moment. Eh? Wow. How does it fit into the broader network? I mean, Nedbank's brand positioning.
So if
and
you,
purpose.
so our purpose is to use our expertise to make a positive impact in South Africa, because we believe that money well managed can make a real difference in people's lives. So if you think about every campaign we've done, from Secrets, where we said 2 out of 3, this is real insights, right?
Yeah.
2 out of 3 South Africans spend more than they earn. A third of South African companies fail in their first 2 years. I think it was about 70% of South Africans have lost money in pyramid schemes. And we always base it on like insights like that. If you and we created Secrets that said it's time to talk about the hardest thing, to talk about money.
Yeah.
If you think about Reality Check, where 90% of South Africans cannot afford to retire. And we had this activation in Greenstone.
Oh, I remember that. Yo, you guys are fan cooking. Yo, I met you actually for the first time after the Secret screening.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. Yo, I've never watched anything so moving like that.
You know, and people walked in not knowing it was Nedbank.
Yes.
In fact, I think you'd heard of, because you came to me, I think, or someone said, oh, because you guys were invited just to a movie screening.
Yes, it was.
And then, but I remember either it was you or someone came to me and said, oh, you're here. Is it Nedbank? Like everyone was like, and then the movie played and everyone was like, whoa. You know?
Yeah, it was a
So we've
moment.
always fundamentally tried to challenge people to think about anti-advertising, right? Where people think they're watching an ad for perfume and then it starts talking about and then drowning in debt. People think they are like watching an ad for selling a car.
Yeah.
So we've always said we want to challenge South Africans to understand that, to talk about money, to do something about money, because when money is well managed, it can make a real difference in people's lives, right? And so GetMoneyFit is exactly the same. If you manage your money better, you can either make a difference in your own life, in your family's life, in your business's life, in your company's life, in society. So it's definitely the same narrative that builds on from that. It's probably a little bit, what I've liked about this one is the others are quite challenging in like some like really tough insights. 90% of South Africans can't afford to save, whereas this one I think is more inspiring. And so I've really enjoyed that. And again, it came from, if marketers or brand people are listening to this, our archetype as a brand is Sage Hero. Sage is the financial expertise bit that we give you. The hero bit is to challenge you. And we've challenged, but I think this type of challenge has been different for us as a brand, and we've really liked that. And I got feedback actually from someone who's involved with Can Lions. Yeah. And they said to me, you guys must enter this in entertainment for sports here at Can Lions.
Okay. Is that the goal?
Well, it wasn't. Actually, I was just surprised because she said to me, the way you filmed it, it really feels like a sports brand. Like all the elements that you've done out of it really feels like a sports brand. And she was like, it's going to be so surprising for like the guys who judge entertainment for sports that a bank could do work like this.
Sure. That's very profound. I'm not sure if you follow the news. I mean, there's a new pandemic that's been looming. I'm not sure. And again, if you don't have an opinion, because the Pat, I have no opinion on this, but there's a pandemic that seems to be destabilizing money fitness. That is online gambling. I mean, students are gambling their monthly allowances. Instead of buying food, they gamble. Instead of, even someone said, I think it was the CEO of TFG, the Foshini Group, saying that, online gambling is much more of a threat to them than Shein is.
Yeah, they're competitors.
They're
yeah.
competitors. As a bank, do you guys have an opinion?
Yeah, look, I mean, gambling in South Africa is legal. So for us, absolutely, like if you've got to, whichever way, whether, you gamble or play the lotto or whatever it is, like that's okay. But it's like anything. You've got to do it in a way that doesn't compromise your well-being, your family's well-being. And so I think for me, the issue is not gambling. I think it's the abuse of gambling. It's like alcohol. Right? It's like the issue is not consuming alcohol. It's the abuse of alcohol. So we've got things, for example, on our money app where you can absolutely play the lotto and stuff, but we've got limits. So you can actually put limits around how much you can spend on gambling and stuff like that. There are 2 social impact areas as a bank that we really want to focus on. The one is gambling. And right now we've got a team of people thinking about how to help people manage their gambling and spend. We've got no right to tell anyone if they should gamble or not. And like I say, it's legal and many people do it in very responsible manners. Many people do, but many people also don't. So we've got to think about as a brand, how do we help people do that? So I think we haven't quite solved it, but we are thinking about, I've given you one example, but we're thinking through that. The second one for us is actually on GBV. So a lot of people used to ask me, what is Nedbank doing in the context of GBV? And I always felt like we didn't have a clear space in that until we worked with Power and we found out that, we realized that in GBV, 99% of GBV cases, financial abuse plays a big role. So as a brand, we then said, okay, cool. So our role is around the financial abuse bit. And it comes across in many ways, Pat. So for example, it could be like your partner wanting to take out a loan and forcing you to sign for the loan simply because you're obviously abused and stuff. Sometimes you don't even know. So you want to get a divorce and you realize, oh my goodness, I'm in debt for X amount because you're married in community of property and they forge your signature. You have no idea. Or they keep you in the relationship because maybe you decided that you were going to be stay at home and now you can't leave because you've got no money and stuff. So actually money plays a massive role in GBV. So our first step actually was last year during 16 days of activism, where if you think about alcohol again or cigarettes, they've got the warnings, right? So we created the money warnings on all our communication during that 16 days of activism, saying things like money can be used to abuse women, which is a massive statement for a bank, right? To say that. And we partnered with Power to say, if you're in a situation like this, here's an organization that you can get hold of, because ultimately what we can't solve GBV as a bank, but we can give you access to
tools and knowledge
and the organizations that can actually help you. We are trying to think through a couple of things again that as services we can bring to the market to help people in situations like that be able to, get themselves out of it and stuff. And all I'll say is, for me, this is a bit around using our financial expertise to make a positive impact in society. That means we've got to think about the sustainability of our bank broader than just our headline earnings and our cost to income ratio and our ROE. We've got to think about what are the social issues that we as a bank can authentically play a role in. So you can't talk about, there's a lot of social issues, but you've got to be clear what your role is and how it makes sense that you play in that role. But I think more importantly, I hope you get the sense that it's not just about communication. What we're really trying to figure out right now is what are the services and products that we can offer people to ensure that we help them navigate some of the social challenges.
Sure. Very profound. Kensi, so obviously you stated, your purpose as a bank. I know creativity plays an important role. Performance as well.
Absolutely.
How do you balance that as a leader?
So, your question about at the top, I think you asked me, what are you proud of or highlights? One of my biggest highlights is how we've pivoted into a very strong data and technology-led marketing team. So I think firstly, if you look at our operating model, so the way we work, we work in very agile squads. We've got scrum masters, and this is in marketing, right? Like,
Oh, hectic.
that is how we operate. It's a tech, that's how we operate. And it's been 2 years of doing that, and the growth in the team has been significant. It wasn't easy because we've got a particular way of working. You brief the agency, you get a debrief in 6 weeks. Like, it's like very sort of linear.
Yeah.
And now we've brought in this new way of working that's made not just us, but our agency partners uncomfortable. If there's any agency listening, I would say to you, you've got to think about what your organization's change is looking like that you're an agency for, and you've got to match that because if you're staying in the old way of thinking, your client's going to leave you and they're going to be like, well, we have stand-ups every week on this campaign and we've got a scrum master who expects this. And if you can't match that and deliver for that, then you're not going to be our agents, right? Because we need people who can go with where we're going. So I think that's the first thing was our operating model. The second thing is we got the board to approve over 100 million rand investment in our technology stack, which is the Adobe technology stack, where truly speaking, it's proper hyper-personalized, uses AI and data. And I think for the board to say, we're going to approve more than 100 million rand investment, they understood the business case out of it. Because for me, the brand building bit, and with the creativity and all of that, what it helps you do is, as you have performance stuff, it helps you ensure that over the long term, the performance stuff works. Because if you only just drive performance, you don't build your brand long term. And actually, your spikes of performance won't be as high. They will actually start tapering out. They will flatten out. So you've got to build the brand to ensure that your spikes of performance continue to actually go up. So in that,
you can get to that J-cam.
Exactly. So in the board approving that tech spend, they were basically saying, we believe in the strategy. And then it's been data. I would say, if anything, it's funny, we had our chief executive stand up last week, which is it was the last one for the year, where our chief executive, Jason, speaks to the entire company about how we've performed for the year and what he's thinking about for next year. So one of the questions from the chat, so I was interviewing him the way you're interviewing me now.
Yeah.
And one of the questions from the chat was, what keeps you awake at night when it comes to Nedbank? And he says, I sleep very well. I love so hard. I love that answer.
CEOs can say that.
It doesn't mean there's no issue. So for me, I do sleep well. However, the data piece of our journey still feels very much for me like we haven't 100% solved it. And I've got a group of people who are so committed. I mean, we have found ways. And we are a bank, you can imagine. Data is, people are hiding it in the corner. They don't want marketing to access it. But I have a team of people who have found ways to be able to get us to access data so we can target better. And then also really be able to articulate what our return on marketing investment is. That when we spend here, this is what the sales output looks like. Or for that matter, the brand lift, or whatever it is that we've put as an objective. So if you had to ask me and take a step back, what is the secret sauce for us? It's creativity, it's tech data and with AI, and it's the people.
Sure. Creativity, tech, people.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of young people. Young Kensis there, who are watching, because I mean, obviously, whenever, I engage with my peers, you are, one can't deny the fact that you are the standard, for many young marketers, particularly female marketers, who want, to create impactful work. What advice, would you give a young marketer who's watching this?
Yeah. So, it's always the same standard advice because I don't have to think about it that much. Because it works for me. And it worked for me in many ways and still continues to work for me. I think the one is curiosity. So if you think about my marketing journey, when I started at Unilever, there was no AI, there was no digital marketing even. There was none of those things. If I've got to get a team that's going to deliver on those, right? And I've got to understand how I can challenge them or even how I can help them or unblock things. I better understand what the hell they're doing, right?
Gotcha.
I don't have to be an expert in it. There's people who can do that. But I've got to have a level of knowledge that says to me, yeah, but why would you do it like that? Why don't you think about this? Or, or help them unblock anything. So for me, I love learning things. And by the way, it goes beyond marketing. I love learning new things every day. It always fascinates me. In fact, I get into a rabbit hole. I'll read a stat somewhere or someone will say something. Next thing I'm I'm in a rabbit hole and you can't take me out. When I traveled to Romania recently, I actually realized that their former president Ceausescu, who used to be a communist president, and they assassinated him and his wife. And I also love history, so I was like, geez, did that happen? Now there I am reading everywhere about it. And by the time I went to visit like his old house in the capital, Bucharest and stuff, I was just so fascinated. And for me, curiosity, and as a marketer, you've got to be interested in the world that you operate in. You've got to be curious about your brand even. So when I talk about Nedbank has roots as a brand, and our responsibility as the people who work on it right now is to ensure that we are still we still give those, we're honest to those roots of the brand, right? We don't just be like, now what brand is this? Like, this doesn't look like the Nedbank. I know you can move it, you can evolve it, but ensure that you keep it to its roots. A lot of people start working on brands and have no idea where the brand comes from.
Yeah. They just jump and they want to introduce new ideas and without having immersed themselves
in, and then curious about yourself. There's, I feel like I grow and learn every day, right? And, I'll never be 100% so it's about understanding that about myself and trying to figure out what am I going through right now? What's happening right now with me and stuff. So I think curiosity, whether it's the world, it's marketing, it's your brand, it's yourself, I think that for me is a superpower. And actually, curiosity is amazing because when you meet people love when you ask them questions about themselves and then and you engage with them, so it really helps you also in networking. It's actually less stressful for you because you're not stressed about having to tell people about yourself. You're actually thinking about them and it actually makes the conversation like really flow.
Sure.
The second thing is being really passionate. And I think it comes across, right? In everything that I do, I put like 150% in it. And some people say to me, it's hard to be passionate about some of brands we work on. And I'm like,
because we're in B2B. If
I could be passionate about Rama Margarine, I feel like all of you. But I'll tell you what I did with Rama. So Rama's positioning was about, if you give your kids Rama Margarine, it gives them a good start to the day. So I was passionate about the positioning of giving kids a good start to the day versus margarine. So you can find in your brand anything to be passionate about. And once you lean into that, you're able to actually really, because brands make such a big impact in the world and society and can. And so when you've got the honor and the privilege of working on those brands, you've got to find something that allows you to connect deeper and take it to the next level. Then the last piece I'll say is my number one value, which is authenticity. So for me, it doesn't matter where you see me. I'll be in a board meeting at Nedbank. I'll be sitting with the PSL. I'll be overseas sitting with the IRG. I'm at home with, Samuel L. Jackson, my dog, and my hubby. I'm with my nephews and nieces or my cousins. Kensi is Kensi wherever you meet her. I never believed in this notion that you must show up in a different way at work. I mean, what hard work? Can't you like this? And then you must find it like really hard work. And I actually find that the more authentic I am, the better work that I do. So organizations are going to get the best out of me if they allow me to be myself. And I've pushed, I think, the boundaries at Nedbank in trying to ensure that they do not change me. So even my first interview, I ensured I walked in with sneakers. I showed my tattoos. So I'm surprised. I threw in a little F word there. So they know what they're getting. And, like authenticity, for me, it's just like lean into who you are. Don't be afraid to be who you are. I don't know who, it's so much easier. I can tell you.
But maybe others obviously could be saying, but easy for you, Kensi, because when you're sitting at ESCO, you are this big boss. But in my organization, like for example, I mean, I'm pretty sure the work that you do, you have to have some sort of support, from your boss or from your board. How do you win the trust, that she can show up in her sneakers, she can have as many tattoos as she wants, and she can be this maverick, but trust Kensi, she'll get it done. How do you win the trust of your bosses and those around you?
you've got to start, right? Like, I didn't get the trust just at Nedbank. I've received that trust in every organization I've been in, including Unilever when I was like practically a kid.
Yeah.
One of the first projects I got at Unilever was Rama used to run the Ramabona Women's Club. And they asked me to do a review of that sponsorship and come back and say if we should continue with it. And I applied myself straight from varsity. I was 21 years old. I did the analysis that I was taught by Professor Steve Burgess, right? Proper, you know? And I came back and I presented to this and I said, and the final outcome for me was, I don't think we should continue with it. And
One, I didn't like you. I'm kidding.
They did feature me in their magazine once. I don't think they knew I was the one who stopped the sponsorship.
Yeah.
And I was so shocked when the marketing director said, like, he asked me questions and then at the end said, great analysis. Yeah, cool, we're cutting it.
Wow.
And so I applied myself. I didn't just think I had to think about it and I had to put something that would make sense. And look, they could have said no, but ultimately I knew that I'd put in the work. I think what was great is they did listen to me. It gave me confidence that, okay, if I apply myself and I do what needs to be done, people will listen. Doesn't mean they'll always agree, but they will listen. So you've got to start. You will build the trust over time. It's not, people are not just going to give you trust. Even at Nedbank, I had to do secrets. Yeah. Which is a year into my job. I had to do secrets for them to go, oh, this creative process thing that she's on seems to be a thing and stuff. Yeah. And I remember Mike Brown was our CEO at that time. And I figured that I needed to get him on sites. And do you remember after the movie, he sat with me on stage to talk. Yes. So I needed to get our CEO on site. Right now, though, I don't need to talk to the CEO. I just do work. Jason saw our credit card, the hardworking professionals insurance credit card campaign for the first time on Friday in Durban when most of the staff saw it. Sure. So, but I've built that. But at the beginning, I didn't have that. I had to take Mike Brown along with me on the journey. So you've got to figure out who are the right people to help you in this. You're not going to get it immediately. But what I would say is you've at least got to apply yourself, put your head down, identify the right people to help you on the journey. And whilst you're doing that, not everyone's like me, right? Not everyone throws in an F word, is like, has tattoos, wears sneakers. We're all different. Yeah. In fact, my best example of this is Tabi saying in my team. Yeah. And Tabi is very different to me, but I can tell you she is authentically herself in whatever that, looks like for herself. And she's incredibly successful at Nedbank. So you've got to figure that out for yourself. Don't copy anyone else. Just lean into who you are.
I mean, on the applying yourself part, and I think it's going to be increasingly difficult given the fact that with AI, it can churn out, ideas and work like at a click of a button. How can young people continue to challenge themselves and just immerse themselves in this process in a time where things have to happen really fast? I find that quite challenging.
Some people believe that, so I always think about AI, right? And we use AI quite a bit. And I think for me, from a productivity perspective, it's the best thing that's happened for us. So we embrace AI, we're not worried about it at all. Yeah. But do you think AI could have been able to think about, if you use our digital products, it will save you time, and come up with a line that says time is more valuable than money? Spend it wisely. Do you think AI could? I don't think so, personally. Some people do. I don't think so. Yeah. I think AI absolutely has its role in allowing people to be much more productive and spend their thinking time on bigger things, and actually take a lot of what I would call the sludge work into something that's able to move it quicker. And even in targeting, if you have a human being saying, here's how we should target this X number of people for our home loans campaign and stuff, you're going to have a high margin of error. Whereas AI is able to build up over time to reduce that error and ensure that there's efficiencies in how we spend and stuff. Why would I? Yes, please. Can I have that?
Can you have that tool?
Can you have that tool and stuff? So I think you've got to embrace how AI can help you do your job better versus being worried about how AI is going to take your job. I'm sure there's some jobs that are going to be redundant, right? I'm sure that's going to happen. But then ensure that the job that you do, AI is just a tool to help you do that job.
Gotcha. I mean, yesterday I had the privilege of seeing Mzamo speak again, and he spoke on the AI just being another shiny tool that people can use, but the basic fundamentals of marketing remain.
They completely remain. AI is not going to be able to look at the Nedbank brand and then say, you know what, actually in the youth market, we maybe need to shift it a little bit like this. You still need a marketing brain to think about what's the opportunity in the space and stuff, and why does this not work in that way? So I'm absolutely with him. Digital marketing a few years ago, everyone was stressed about digital marketing. Yeah. And what is it now? It's a channel. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's one touch point.
One touch point, you know, and stuff. So I think when people think about it in that way, they'll be less afraid of it and more, how can I just use it to help me do my job better?
Great stuff. Kensi, now looking ahead into the future, where do you see the Nedbank brand?
Look, I think in many ways, so if you think about the big sort of banks on the continent, I think we're the fourth biggest bank on the continent. Mm-hmm. And our vision is to be the most admired financial services provider in Africa. And you know, people forget that. But
we'll be watching the rankings on Brand Africa.
It's not a problem. You can watch the rankings.
Yeah.
But also, what does most admired mean? Doesn't mean value. Okay, fair. The point is, I definitely believe that we're going to build a juggernaut of an African brand. And we are, and when I say we, I also mean the rest of the Nedbank Exco. So it's not just a marketing vision.
Got you.
It's a vision of the executive team that leads Nedbank. I certainly think from a digital perspective, we continue to look quite different, and we're going to continue to look very different. A lot of, and it's going to be obviously where the world is going in general when it comes to banking and all of that. But I think for us, we talk about digital first in terms of everything. Digital when you want it, human when you need it, but it's digital when you want it and stuff. So you're going to definitely see a brand that's much more digitalized. Does that mean you're going to close
the branches?
No, not at all, actually. Because remember, we've got different segments. And some segments are very comfortable with walking into a branch, but even branches are going to do different, like, you know, what do you call it, jobs. So they're not just going to be for the sort of jobs that people, or the sort of chores that people go in and do now. So our branches are going to look different. They're maybe going to be much more, in fact, in Jabulani Mall, if you go to the Nedbank branch right now, a lot of the residents in that area are able to book an area and have like a meeting with your spazas, like members and stuff. So it becomes really part of the community, not just a branch where you go do transactions and stuff like that. So
that's clever.
So it's going to look different,
very
but
impactful as well.
Exactly, right? And you really become part of the community. And maybe the last thing that I'll say, which is I think linked to our vision, so our purpose of making a positive impact on society, you'll definitely see, for us, purpose is not a buzzword the way maybe other brands think about it. Nedbank has always been a purpose-led brand. If you think about Affinities that we did, Affinities is more than 30 years old, which is like we've got the Green Affinity, Sports Affinity, Arts, as well as Nelson Mandela Children's Fund, where if you transact, we basically give money to all these trusts on your behalf and stuff. So this has been happening for more than 30 years. Purpose to us is not a buzzword. It's at the core of who we are as a brand.
Became a trend.
Exactly.
We were doing
it. That's why I always say, this is long before me, right? So you've got to know the history of your brand and where it comes from. So I think you're going to see a brand that is so much more involved and in society and is brave enough to talk about things like, you know, GBV, like as a bank from a financial abuse perspective, is brave enough, no matter what's happening globally around climate change, to say, we're not going to fund fossil fuels. Here's what we're going to do. So you're going to see like a bank that honestly steps up when it comes to societal issues. And it already is, that's the root of the brand, but you're going to see it even more.
Wow, amazing. Kensi, an hour just went. There's someone who's watching here, like, I'd really like to, you know, get into Kensi's head, like to engage, network. What is the best way people can reach you?
Hey, Pat. I'll tell you what. There was, so my purpose, right? My own personal purpose is to show the art of the possible. And really, the reason I say that is, if you think about my background, my dad, Soweto, during apartheid, you know, my mom, you know, really coming from a very rural area in Swaziland. I'm not meant to sit on an exco of a JSE listed bank. It's like not meant to be, but it is. And so it's true and it's here.
And it's happening.
So my purpose is to show young girls that where you start is not where you're going to finish. And actually, there's so much more possibility in life.
Yeah.
Now, in doing all of that, I mentor a lot of people. And I realized about 2-3 years ago that I just can't. Like, it's too much for me. I don't have the time.
Impossible time. Yeah.
And I have a job, guys.
You still have to perform.
I still have to perform and stuff. So I created the Own Your Path mentorship platform.
Oh, great.
It's basically a Tinder for mentors and mentees.
Wow.
So you come on board if you're a mentee or if you want to be a mentor, and I'm inviting you to go on and be a mentor.
Okay.
And people, and honestly, anyone else, like if you want to be a mentor and stuff, because what we generally find is there's a lot of mentees on the platform. We don't have enough mentors.
To match.
And you think you're young, but you've done incredibly well with everything, even just your comrades journey, your Lerato agency, like youth-owned brands, like all of that stuff that you've done, Pat. There's so many people probably watching you and thinking, oh, I'd love to connect with him and understand, like, how he does that. So you match up with someone that you want to mentor with, or they want you to mentor them. And I pay like 100% for that platform every month, and it's okay for me because it's actually like it's at the core of my purpose. And so when you say, how do you get in touch with me? Yes, I'm happy to have talks and do podcasts and all of that. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Khensani Nobanda. But on the mentorship bit, I've had to protect myself, and because I was starting to get to a place where it was too much for me. It was draining me. And so I was no longer, and I enjoy mentorship because I learned so much from the other person, right? But I realized that I wasn't enjoying it anymore. So I don't take on a lot of people anymore. But I hope that the platform at least gives them, because there's so many other amazing people out there that they can learn from.
Wow, that's very profound. And I think in closing, this episode, this is probably one of what one would say, I think we had spikes, where we were like really happy and we were like, okay, talking really serious stuff, and which is what I really appreciate about you. Always show up as your authentic self, and thank you for always giving time to me and to our platforms. I mean, when we started the Pat and Brands Dialogues, how many, 6 years ago? In Bramfontein.
I remember.
So you've always, you've always showed up for this platform, and I really appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. It really means a lot to have, an executive like yourself always having time for the young ones. And man.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, keep well, and take care. May you continue to challenge the norm, and we'll continue to follow on your footsteps. And to everybody, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. That's the only way we'll grow as a channel and as a platform. From me, Pat Mahlangu ngiti, inarha elale.
Pat. It's Pat on Brands. Watch how you branded, man. A pat on the back is a pat from the man. Better be branded, man. A pat from the pat is a pat on the brand. If it's enormous.